government wants everybody fighting with their neighbors because they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them.
So this video is going to be my process for setting up my Lee 6-pack progressive press for 45 ACP handgun ammunition. Step 1 is going to be install the 2L shell plate. If you don't know how to do that, I do have a detailed video on how to get that done. I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Pause the video, look up that video if you don't know how to do it. If you do, let's move on. Installed, I do not need the small caliber case retainer, so we're just going to set this to the side for now. And I like to do this in order, and if you notice, I have the rod that makes this from a single stage turret press into a progressive press out, because I don't want this turning and going from stage to stage until I have everything set up. So the first thing I'm going to do, I have to set up this case feed for my 45 brass. So we're going to get into that right now. And just a quick side note, if you're loading 45 ACP, make sure you know where the brass came from. If you didn't purchase it or fire it yourself, you need to double check, because some 45 is being loaded with small pistol primers, whereas most is loaded with large pistol primers. And if you try to put a large pistol primer in a small pistol primer pocket while reloading, you're going to get a very loud surprise, and that can be very dangerous. This video is going to be a series. I'm going to show you step by step how I get my Lee 6-pack set up for reloading by 45 ACP. And the first step I'm going to get set is how my brass is fed from the brass feed tubes. So the base of your feed tubes there's 4 slots, and 1 is for dropping. So what we can do is there's a little plate right here in case you're loading 9 or 45 or any other caliber that's smaller than a 45. You take this little plate out so that now your 45 can slide through here, and we want to position it so that this opening will drop our 45 to right here. So I'm going to show you how I get that done. And since this was previously set for dropping 9mm, what I need to do is remove my bolt and put it on the other side so that we can position it 45 ammunition to be able to drop through, and then all the other 3 slots, it's just going to be held there. So alright, and so what I'm looking for, let me bring you in a little closer. What I'm looking for is to set this so that there's about 1 nickel's width of space between the top of my 45 cases and the bottom of my shell base. And you want to make sure your brass is trimmed to approximately the same length, otherwise you might have some feed issues. So when we get this to about where it needs to be, I can go ahead and secure it. Little side note, it does come with an attachment that attaches to the top of this piece here for larger shell casings, rifle shell casings, things like that. Alright, so I've got 5 pieces of brass in my tube here, and let's see if they will go ahead and load properly. Alright, so now I'm going to get set with slot number 1, which is going to be sizing and depriming. And so with 45, I'm going to raise the shell plate all the way to the top and screw in my 45 size MD prime until it makes contact. The shell plate's off just a little bit. Then I'm going to back it off about 1/8 of a turn. And I like to use the breech lock bushing dies. That way if something were to break, I were to drop something somewhere I needed to get to, and for whatever reason had to remove this, you can remove it and it stays with this Allen key right here. The screw keeps it retained exactly where it was before you removed it. So you can lock it back in and you don't have to reset your die. So let's run one shell through. Make sure your shells are previously lubricated so you don't get them stuck in your sizing die. And looks like everything worked fine. We got it deprimed and it's been sized. So now we can move on to step 2.